Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Mr. Sadat, for offering me this time. And at the onset, I would like to say a great thank you to the organizers for providing this opportunity. For the last 2 days, we've been hearing about a lot of discussions happening in these kind of sessions, and otherwise also when people are interacting on how to strategize and how to implement policies on the use of ICT. It's a great thing to say that, this country has a policy on ICT use in schools, and that is a big thing which many other countries do not have or are yet to produce. Now, this is a big plus point for us as a country. The second thing that I would like to point out that I would not like to prescribe any strategies or methods which would be prudent on my part, but I would like to pose some statements and the questions that arise which may be considered while we actually strategize and try to implement the policies on the use of ICT. My statement 1 would be, educational strategy setting for ICT diffusion may start with an assessment of human and technical capacity. ICT in the teaching learning situation has opened up learning resources 24/7. Now, we've been talking about capacity building as one of the important issues. Now, if we go by this statement, the questions that come in my mind are, under these circumstances, how technology impacts learning in a teaching learning situation. Is it necessary for teachers and students to know how to use technology and digital resources in an intelligent and discriminating way? When you have resources available, is it necessary that we use those resources in an intelligent and discriminating way? Is there a set of necessary and essential skills? Do we know these skills? How limiting will inadequate e-skills or online skills be to the teachers and students? Now, these questions keep coming into the mind. Are teachers and students able to collaborate, cooperate, and interact with their peers and with subject experts as part of their learning process? How to assist and facilitate teachers and students in developing the e-skills, online skills? If we have the skills, then we know what to do, when to do, and how to do. My statement 2 would be, there is likely to be a tension between traditional versus new pedagogies and standardized testing. We are all very, very traditional, nothing bad about it. But when it comes to the use of ICT and when it comes to having a strategy for implementation, there is bound to be a tension between traditional versus new pedagogies and the standardized testing. The questions, I'll just run through some of the pedagogical overview, and you can see that in the traditional pedagogy, activities are prescribed by teachers, whole class instruction, little variation in activities, pace determined by the program. Whereas in the emerging pedagogy for the information system, activities are determined by learners. Small groups, group work, teamwork, many different activities, pace determined by learners. In the collaborative aspect, the traditional pedagogy is not collaborative, it is individual, homogeneous groups, everyone for him or herself. Whereas in the emerging pedagogy, it would be working in teams, heterogeneous groups all over, supporting each other. Creative, reproductive learning, that's what the traditional pedagogy is at the moment. Apply known solutions to problems, whereas the emerging pedagogy would demand productive learning, find new solutions to problems. Integrative, no link between theory and practice. Separate subjects, discipline-based individual teachers. Whereas the emerging pedagogy demands integrating theory and practice, relations between subjects, thematic, and teams of teachers. Similarly, for evaluative aspect, teacher-directed, summative, whereas it should be student-directed, diagnostic. Having said this, we in the National Institute of Open Schooling, we've not been able to go to the complete emerging pedagogies that are there, but we have been able to achieve some of them in terms of, when it comes to evaluative. Is it student directed? Yes, it is. We have something called the on-demand examination system. It is directed by the students when and how they would like to get themselves evaluated for whatever knowledge domain they would like to do. And it's diagnostic. If a student is not satisfied with the performance and would like to go back and go ahead, then we allow that. So some aspects are being taken care of through ICTs in organizations and in many situations, but it would be nice to see that the strategies do include some of these pedagogical implications. So the questions will come. Will the impact of ICT use on students' learning be dependent on teaching approaches? Will there be better learning outcomes when student-centered guidance, group work, and inquiry projects are used? Is there a need to change standardized testing which tends to measure the results of traditional transmission-type pedagogies? Now, my third statement would be, now digital age is promoting the emergence of increasingly multicultural teaching and learning environments. So the questions that arise, how do we address and integrate multicultural dimension in a technology-driven learning? Technology-driven learning environment aimed at students who live in diverse cultural environments. Does it involve some domain knowledge in relation to other cultures, as well as social skills and personal traits that enhance cross-cultural communication and cooperation? What would developing intercultural competence in teachers and students mean? Would it mean developing an attitude of curiosity and openness? Would it mean acquiring knowledge of societal and individual interaction? Would it mean developing skills to and critically interpret new cultural knowledge? How do we facilitate interaction and dialogue among individuals of widely differing cultural influences? When we allow ICT, culture has to be considered into mind so that all of us are able to live in a cohesive society that the new world is expecting of. So I would say strategy plan ought to stress on complete integration with existing structures, processes, and critical issues with the questions that I have placed for change for future. And there is no solution or one answer. These questions could be a driving force towards developing a strategy which is nothing but a POA for implementing the use of ICT. Thank you.